Welcome to the Stellar Show, Fayette County TV, Channel 77, Breeze Line, Q Call, with myself, Ken Philbum, the Duke here, and Stellar's Collectible Shop and the Uniontown Mall owner, Victor Bollock, on take two here. So I want to give a special thank you to Mike Kelly, the Toyota here out of Uniontown. It isn't just about cars, it's about trust. With a wide range of vehicles and personalized service, we make your car buying experience easy and enjoyable. Come see why generations have chosen us for their automotive needs. And speaking last week, you mentioned your father picked up a new Toyota truck. How's that running?
He's so happy right now. And being in the spirit of happiness, what I'm going to do for all you Toyota owners out there is for the next 10 to 14 days, depending on how long I feel like doing it, a Toyota owner, you come in here, I'm going to give you 10% off of anything you want to buy.
And I'm going to add 5% if you got it from Mike Kelly Automotive.
Nice. 15% off, and I'm serious about that.
I'll hold him to it.
Very happy with Toyotas across the board. Thanks again, Mike, for sponsoring the show.
Yes, sir. You know, don't got much for feedback, but when I was watching the show back last week, I caught something. This is good. So showrunner Adam, you know, you're busted.
Busted.
Yes. So, no, you know what? Showrunner Adam, he stopped over at the Ken Cave as well as Brad and Dan and a few others for the fantasy football draft. And we, you know, I got reunited with old Jack and Jim. I wasn't driving. It was my place. I was responsible about it, you know, as everyone should. And I noticed, and for the record, like we talked, I don't really take this that serious. Second round coming along, and I picked Marvin Harrison Jr., and then someone was trying to rub it in my face last week that I took a guy that got 1.4. But I'll tell you what, that pick paid off this week.
See, the fun part that you're unaware of is outside the Ken Cave here at Stellar Collectibles, we also had a draft, and Adam picked him in the second round and didn't play him this week. So that's two mistakes that I think he calls himself Super Genius 2.
I don't know.
There's some moniker he's got, but he had a little bit better week. Would have had a great week had he played Marvin Harrison this week.
Well, I could actually do you one. So, what is it? I lost by 2 points, I believe, last night. And, you know, Robinson got the guy in the one league I was playing just enough. On my bench, I had Kyler Murray. I started Tua.
Okay.
DK Metcalf over Tyreek Hill and James Conner, because DK started off slow. I thought maybe there was some problems up there. And there was Tony Pollard, I think.
Got an 80-yarder in the first quarter out of DK.
I left a couple different guys with 30-plus points on my bench while losing a game by 2 points.
Yeah, Rashid Shaheed from the Saints.
Can you use that in a sentence, please?
That is the pickup of the week. If you're unaware and just basically not paying attention to fantasy football, he should be picked up in free agency by everyone right now. And this will be the last week he sits on my bench. So, made fun of showrunner Adam for the Marvin Harrison thing. But I have real wide receivers, so I really don't have a position for him.
I know. I'm liking both of my teams. We'll maybe have to get them plugged in.
Do you believe the Saints are for real at this point?
I need to see more. Look, I'll tell you what, Alvin Kamara, thank you, sir.
I said it on our draft special. That's a guy everybody lets go into late into the first part of the third round.
Kamara and Connor always end up on my team somewhere.
Unbelievable value from both of them.
Absolutely.
I have a question for you. As you get older and watch football so much, do you enjoy watching the Dallas Cowboys screw things up as much as I do? It is just so much fun to watch the Cowboys implode.
Oh, I love every time I hear that they gave Dak Prescott more money, because that's more money they can't spend elsewhere. Just watching them get beat is just fun nowadays. Yeah, you know what? That's kind of one of those. They've been down for so long. It's kind of like pit football. It's not even fun to make fun of them anymore. Yeah. But you know what? So while we're talking fantasy, where are you at with Justin Fields? I said it last week. Him on the bench or as a backup, or 100% believe the Steelers have their starting quarterback for the next 4 to 5 years. He perfectly fits that offense. And what you have right there, fans, this is old-fashioned football they're playing. Rooney wanted running the football and strong defense. That's what you have. This is like watching pitchers pitch shutouts when you go to watch a baseball game. You got a good three-headed monster with running the ball overall with Fields, Warren, and Harris now.
Yeah, he gives you everything you want, and I just don't know if Russell Wilson will fit the style that they have right now.
I saw enough out of Wilson, though, that if it don't work out here, he can be a good addition somewhere next year, preferably to whatever team drafts Shadir Sanders #1 overall. But before we close this up, friendly reminder, folks, on September 29th up at the Mount Pleasant Glass Festival, we will be filming live. Come up, bring some signs, yells. We'll gladly take some hate mail that day, maybe address it on the air, and positive for the Duke here, but I don't know about us. But no, I said we will be filming at high noon at the gazebo, followed by us as Scott Blasey, the Clarks, and then also Pendulum, which is a CCR tribute band. They will be performing before a fireworks show to close out the festival. So stop up and see us, and we'll see you after this.
Recently, locally elected officials were invited on a tour of the United Dairy facility in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is ranked 8th in total milk production nationally, producing nearly 10 billion pounds of milk annually. The state's annual milk production per cow is 21,259 pounds, or about 2,501 gallons per cow. At 5,000 dairies, Pennsylvania has the second largest number of dairy farms nationally, having more dairy farms than every other state except Wisconsin. Following the tour, there was a discussion of current Farm Bureau legislation. Fayette County, we are proud to support our agricultural industry, just one of the economic drivers of our future.
Welcome back to the Seller Show, Fayette County TV, Channel 77, Breeze Line and Q Call. We're going to open up some mail, but before we do that, once again, I'd like to thank Mike Kelly of Toyota here in Uniontown. Get over there and see what they got going. But let's open up Caden's favorite segment here. I got, he was being good. So we got the Return to Oz.
Do you even remember this?
No.
I don't either. This ought to be fun because I have no idea what this could be about.
I get a lot of, hey, I like seeing what you're going to open. So I got so much of this random stuff. I don't even know how I have accumulated. Just you accumulate this stuff. And
well, seeing as how we're in the Halloween time frame.
So was this a show, a movie? I have no idea what that is.
What were the packs going for on eBay? Did you look it up by any chance?
Like no more than $3.
$3.
This is I don't even know where to begin, and I'm not touching that gum. Just not feeling it this week. Have fun, Caden.
I have no idea what these are, but they're
1985, I think it said?
Yeah, 1985.
Okay, well.
Maybe somebody tried to do a Halloween version of The Wizard of Oz.
It almost kind of reminds me of that, what was that, Puff and Sniff or whatever?
You got me on that one.
Anyway, you know what?
Puff and Sniff.
Was that like in the early 70s? I don't know. I just remember every time I
Puff and Stuff, maybe?
Yeah, I just remember when I went to the one doctor as a kid, they always had it on in the lobby, and I was just like, boy, they were doing some interesting things in the 70s, and
it was a fun
late
time.
60s, early 70s. I bet it was. So let's do another one of these Halloween packs, because these are a lot of fun. I've actually had some Keon Coleman.
Keon Coleman will eventually probably take over in Buffalo.
Marshall Falk.
Again, we're back to that. Is that Neil Anderson?
Yes, sir. Or the Bears.
Yeah. 2 players that are out of date and a rookie. So that's, again, what you're getting out of packs of this day and age.
Have fun, Caden.
Wait for the better stuff to come out, folks.
So here's what we got going on. Yeah, right. So here's what we got going on here. So last week, this is the Terry Bradshaw that I told you. It was literally arriving in my mailbox as we were doing the show. So no bullet hole, as you questioned, but there is a nice size crease.
There's a wonderful crease going from the B in Bradshaw all the way down. All 4 corners are mashed up.
Yeah.
And when you tilt, which is really sad, is the surface doesn't appear to be potholed or dimpled to a point. So if somebody would have taken better care of this card.
Yeah.
The centering is not horrible on it.
I'll give you
off center, top to bottom on the back. The front looks okay. This is clearly a 1.
Yeah, but you know what?
But it had the potential in the beginning. This is why, kids, you take care of your cards. That card, if taken care of properly, is a bunch of money.
Exactly. And the other thing, too, with this, like we were saying, this is the time to buy this vintage stuff because everyone's just unloading, like, stuff like this here, this garbage pail refractor, Daredevil Wyatt. It's a 4 or 5. I don't get it. And I'm not trying to take any jabs at Pokemon. I don't get that stuff either, but I know it goes for a lot of money. I prefer stuff like this, and while it's cheap, this is what you should be buying. Now, you see this has got a 1. You come across something interesting here with this Walter Payton rookie.
Now, here's the thing. We go back through condition. You can take this card, and Rick's going to get you a really nice picture of it. My friend Jay's brought this up. We send it out to PSA, and what ends up happening is it comes back in one of these sleeves. They still charge you for this, but what the bottom left, no, it's right. Minimum size required is what's on there. So someone shaved this card to take the Bradshaw, like you're dealing with here, and try to make the corners look better to upsell this for a 2 or a 3. PSA and these guys are serious about these edges on it. That's why it's one of the critical parts. Yeah, you can bend it in half. You can draw a mustache on it because it is worthless.
That's horrible.
We're going to do an entire episode, the 15-minute segment in the middle in the future on how this is actually done. But when you take a regular card, what you do is you see the minimal amount of shaving that's required to make PSA, it won't match up. So you can't do anything with it. Now, if you put this in a top loader at a card show and you walk by, everybody who buys cards is gonna look at this card without maybe thinking that it was shaved and go, this might be a 9.
Oh, yeah.
So as an unscrupulous salesman, you put a 6 or a 7 price tag on this, they take the bait and buy the card. Nobody really knows who shaved the card because of the chain of custody from the pack to today. That card probably changed hands 100 times.
A PSA 6 to a PSA 9 on this, you're talking thousands of dollars of difference.
Yes. That's one of the toughest cards out there. The 2 cards to me, owning the store for this long and going through this that are impossible to find really nice are Peyton's rookie and Ozzie Smith's rookie centered. Elway has a printer mark on it, but if you can find an Ozzie Smith that is centered, to me, I've never seen one. It's like the guy was drunk the whole entire time they printed the cards and missed. They're all off center. So if you have an Ozzie Smith that's centered, you're in serious money. But you have to always, this is the thing we're talking about today, is making sure that to me, I don't have a problem if you're buying this card, you matching it up like I'm doing. Or having the person who owns it match it up like I'm doing right there. Don't buy the card on the high end like that, especially from that era, unless you've checked for the minimum size, that it hasn't been shaved.
I'll say this, my buddy George Gardner, he's passed away a few years now. He sold me a Bradshaw rookie that I'm looking at this thing years ago. I'm like, he gave it to me for like $20. I'm looking at it, I'm all excited, it looks like that. He goes, you can have it for $20. I didn't have a Bradshaw rookie at the time. So I'm like, oh man, you're gonna give me a Bradshaw rookie for $20? He goes, turn around. Big gum mark.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was still, but because it was an altered.
There's nothing wrong with having. There's nothing wrong with having a whooped Bradshaw rookie, a whooped Payton rookie. But the whole concept of PSA grading and me making $10,000 on it is no real different than that garbage card that's sitting over there. What was
Garbage Pail Kid?
What's that going for right now?
They're selling between $1,500 and $7,000.
$7,000, $1,500 to $7,000.
Depending on the player and the number.
Which is problematic because mostly what you're saying is that's a card that's on eBay right now.
That and other sites, yeah.
So the problem with eBay is people put that card up. The first guy put it up for $7,000. The next guy who found it in a pack was glad to take $5,000 from it. I'm sure right now that card will sell for $1,500 because of what's going on in the eBay markets today.
He was the 3rd overall pick last year, and I do believe so. He might fetch more because he's he's climbing the system, but it kind of goes back to what I told this story before. I set the market for Johnny Manziel on eBay. The morning the first leaf or press pass, whatever it was that year, I pulled a Johnny Manziel autograph. There was nothing licensed on eBay at the time. I put that on there, threw it on it for $200. It sold within like 10 minutes, and then every one that went on eBay after that everyone went to auction starting at $199.99. So of all people to start the Manziel run, huh?
You set the market on that, but then eventually the market goes the wrong direction if you want to collect this.
Yes, that's
and if you want to resell this for a profit, you can't continue to chop the tree down.
So you know what? Before instead of dragging this out, which we could talk this for days. But so Terry Bradshaw here, and when I mentioned Bradshaw, someone at work asked me, "Hey Ken, Bradshaw or Ben? Which one's the greater Steeler of all time?" I'm going Bradshaw.
I'm going to say Roethlisberger. The biggest problem, as you're seeing right now, Rick did a great job, and he's putting up the image of the statistics. Bradshaw's interceptions in 168 games are 210. Roethlisberger's in 249 or 211.
You're comparing eras. They were allowed to play football when Bradshaw played.
That's the reason I picked interceptions, though. Interceptions are still interceptions.
It was still a different time. You were allowed to, clothesline a receiver before he got off the line of scrimmage. Now you can't even ask them what they're doing, for lunch without getting flagged.
Roethlisberger came into the league and went 15-1. Bradshaw took 4 to 5 years just to get the starting position.
14-1. Well, 15-1 with the Charger playoff win. Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Ben came in a Hall of Famer.
Well, no, I'm not disputing. They're both Hall of Famers, and they're both great. I'm going to take Bradshaw. My reasons, I'm taking 4 Super Bowls over 2. I mean, that is important because, look, winners find ways to win.
This is fun to argue because you're not wrong either way.
No, you're really not. I mean,
these are two
they really
heavy
are.
hitters.
But the other thing, too, is when it comes to Ben, look at his numbers with Antonio Brown. And look at his numbers without it.
He was 100 when Brown went crazy. He was 36 years old by then.
But what I'm saying is look at his numbers. Brown came in 2010. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then he played. Look at his numbers before and after Antonio Brown.
That's terrible drafting on the Steelers' part because they kept drafting crazy wide receivers, too.
At least that one paid off.
Juju paid off for a minute.
No, he did.
Claypool for a minute.
Martavis Bryant definitely did, too.
By the years, they had wide receivers that were good, but Ben was old by then.
Yeah, but he wasn't old. He was still young when Brown was in the league.
But if you're using the when Brown left thing, Ben was old when Brown left.
But look at before. And
even though they scored 42 points in a home playoff game against Jacksonville and still lost.
Yeah, right. So that's a whole other problem. But but back to like I said, go look at his numbers, and he had Hall of Fame talent around him. He had Faneca, he had Hines Ward. Hines Ward should be in the Hall of Fame. He should have been a first ballot. You know what? If he would have just
to defend Bradshaw on this, the Steelers for the first 6 to 7 years were Franco Harris and Rocky Bleier and running the football up the middle. So Bradshaw's passing game didn't really come in, and it's a great trivia question. You can win a beer in a bar on this one. When was his first 300-yard game? And that was Super Bowl 13.
Yep.
That was aided by an 82-yard screen pass to John Stallworth as well. Yep. So without that screen pass, he probably doesn't throw for the 313 that day.
And like we talked about, though, it's when you're comparing eras. That's you know what? Because honestly, Ben and Bradshaw, I think, could have played in any era.
Well, Ben could have played back then.
Yeah.
Ben's a horse.
You got your guys like Franco and like a Jim Brown or Johnny Unitas. They could have played in any eras. But then you got guys that I don't think Drew Brees could have played 30 years ago.
He would have been Archie Manning type quarterback.
Yeah. So that's why. But
that's why Steeler fans, be patient. If you're talking about throwing Justin Fields away, this is from an old fat man. This is old-fashioned Steeler football. The
really
Steelers are playing right now.
I like this three-headed monster right now with him, Harris, and Warren. But anything else before we wrap this segment up?
Well, if you look, the one last thing is to justify your point is look at the passing yard differential. Roethlisberger is 64,000 yards passing. Bradshaw was 27,000. That's how much the game has changed. But right now, I think it's reverting back to, because everything is cyclical, it's going to revert back to a more run-based football.
I want to dissect that real quick. Bradshaw played in 14-game seasons as opposed to 16, which is why you're going to see stats get even more inflated, because eventually they're going to try to get to an 18th regular season game. The goal is to get the Super Bowl to finish up President's Weekend. So
make it a national holiday
exactly.
and land and all work out together.
They're trying. So that's why I don't really get caught up in comparing the statistics too much from when guys played that far apart, because it's just not fair, because the eras were different.
Football was different.
Exactly. I mean, I ain't taking nothing away from Ben. He's great. But if I have to pick one of the two, and granted, Bradshaw at his prime, I wasn't alive yet. So, but I watched.
He was good.
But I watched enough.
He drove you nuts, but he was good.
I watched enough of these YouTube videos. I watched the uncut Super Bowls with the original commercials and whatnot. And the other part of this too with Bradshaw, he called the plays on the field.
That's so true.
That gets left out of that argument.
But if you had the offensive coordinators of today, the technology of today, Bradshaw would have fought Canada to death.
And Tomlin.
He would have done basically some of the things Ben did, and it would have been fun to watch the Steelers with Bradshaw with the technology, the things he would have done. He would have been a blast.
Well, dude's getting anxious, so we need to close this segment up. We'll be back.
Discover the soul of Broadway Impossible Dreams at the State Theater in Uniontown with Teron Brooks as he reimagines Broadway classics like never before. Experience a night of love, loss, and hope. Get your tickets now at 724-439-1360 or www.statetheater.info. The Soul of Broadway Impossible Dreams at the State Theater in Uniontown.
Hey, welcome back to the Stellar Show. This is what, episode 36, 37?
Now I'm losing track.
37? We've had a ball doing all 36 before the 37th, if the numbers are right. We'd like to, again, welcome Mike Kelly Toyota to sponsorship of the show of Uniontown. And again, Stellar Collectibles, 15% off anyone who owns a Toyota for the next 10 to 14 days. Let's get into the show right now. The one thing I want to talk about is how on earth do you only pay this guy $8.7 million a year? How do you get away with that?
I think that was probably probably the number. If he came in and said I want 8.7, he's a blank check guy. And he's fixated on that number, and I get it. I'm a weird guy myself.
You're saying it's the number on the uniform that makes that work.
That's his birth date, all that stuff, yeah.
That's an odd thing. The other odd thing is...
It's working for him.
Tom Brady and the TB12 method get all the credit in the world for anti-aging. Take a look at Sidney Crosby's first program.
These guys are aging almost as good as I do.
Maybe Duke. But look at the picture of Sidney Crosby as a kid versus one from today. The guy doesn't age at all. This guy he's defying time.
Yeah, he's with both of them. Look, I still feel Brady could come off out of the booth and.
Well, Duck Hodges said Tom Brady's going to sign with Miami before the end of the week.
Well, there's a good source.
Yes, exactly.
Let's get into some picks.
All right, now
we're glad to have Crosby for 3 more years.
And glad to have Mike Kelly Toyota.
Absolutely.
So the first game, last week we had no top 25 games to pick from. Yeah. This week we've got 4. USC, Michigan, first time in the Big Ten.
Where's that game played?
It's being played at the Big House in Michigan, and USC is giving Michigan 6.
I'm taking Michigan.
Taking Michigan, I'm going with USC. Michigan did not impress last week. The big one in Happy Valley.
I'll be there. We are.
Penn State.
Vanilla Bean?
What's that?
You want your vanilla bean?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right. At least 2 of them. Penn State, number 10 team in the country. I'm not happy with that ranking at all. They're giving Kent State 48.5. Do they cover?
I'm sorry, what's it? They're
48.5 at home against Kent State.
They're giving 48.5 points?
48.5. The over-under is 55.
The over covers. I think they'll cover the over. I just don't know if they keep it within 48.5. I mean, Penn State wins, but they ain't beating them by 48.5. 1-800-GAMBLING once again, folks. But the over covers. Penn State wins, but they ain't covering 48.5. That's just my thoughts. Yours?
I say this is 63-0. Penn State covers. Next game, number 12 Utah is traveling to Oklahoma to play the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Utah's number 12 in the country. Oklahoma State is 14. Both teams are undefeated. Utah's given Oklahoma State 2.5.
It's gonna be a boat race, but I'm going with OK State.
You're going over in that game?
Yeah.
Taking Oklahoma State at home and under in the game.
Okay.
Tennessee, Oklahoma, 2 undefeated teams. Tennessee, number 6 in the country. Oklahoma, 15 at Oklahoma. 7.5. Tennessee is given Oklahoma.
Sooner born, sooner bred. Keep making me mad. Sooner than later, you'll be dead. I'll go with the Sooners.
Because you did that so well, I'm going with you. I'm going under the 57.5. That was pretty good. All right, now on to the NFL. The Steelers, undefeated Steelers, hosting the undefeated Chargers.
Which I'll be there. I'll be sporting this. Oh, no. Where'd it go? Oh. Oh, I'll be either wearing this Freiermuth jersey or I'll be wearing this jersey, which Mean Dean got a kick out of. This here is signed by Najeh Davenport, which he is infamous for. Google it. That's as far as that conversation goes.
So getting back to the picks.
I'll go Steelers. I'll be there.
Steelers -2, 35.5.
That covers.
Same. I have to pick the same on that. The fun one, the Ravens -1 at Dallas.
It's in Dallas?
It's in Dallas.
I'm going Ravens and the over.
I have to.
Yeah.
You have to. Dallas is a mess right now. Washington is getting 8 at Cincinnati, 48 on that one.
They're going to need more than 8. I'll take Cincy and I'll take the over.
I'm taking Washington and the under in that game. I think Cincy's bad. They played their best game against Kansas City.
But they ain't as bad as Washington.
And Giants +6 against Cleveland.
With the over-under is
38.5.
Oh, boy. You know what? The under should cover, but one of those two teams is going to find themselves. I'll take Cleveland in the over.
I had the misfortune of having to watch some of the Giants game on Sunday, and Malik Neighbors is the real thing. Daniel Jones is not.
No.
Malik Neighbors is a tremendous wide receiver on a horrible team. I think they keep it close enough, and I'm taking the Giants +6 and the under.
Expect the Giants to be bad for at least another year or two, because the rumblings are they're tanking because they want Arch Manning at some point.
Anything's better than Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I think Duke could get in there and sling it better than him.
It's bad.
So, okay, man. So we got some picks in. I think both of our picks came out pretty good last week. I thought Pitt would beat West Virginia by 10. They only beat them by, 4? But, I wasn't
It's a hell of a game.
It was, yeah.
It was a hell of a game. And good job by Rodney Gallagher of Uniontown.
Absolutely.
Laurel Highlands graduate. He did pretty well in the game. Good job,
He
Rodney.
looked good against West Virginia, too. Penn State when he came in. He's playing both ways, correct?
Yeah, he's playing both sides of the ball.
To be playing both ways.
Freshman.
Him and Hunter about the only of Colorado are the only ones I can think of.
Yeah,
so
that's a trend that's going to pick up in the future.
I think so.
Yeah.
Boy, if they could only find a way to get him on that basketball court, too.
Ooh.
So anything you want to add before we close this up?
No, I'm good.
All right, we'll see you next week. Rise Wrestling is next.